Hello everyone, I'm Coyote Jack and well, I have to start with this introduction again because this image is so fucking relevant for what I'm going to show you. You can spot the exact moment when consulting agencies helped to fix the game, and that was in quotes. It's the nonsense that is playing the gaming industry in the western side and Japanese side. If you are not an indie and you're still catering to fucking consoles, you are going to face the same fucking threat of just going bankrupt because there are less and less consumers willing to stick on this. But you know what demographic has to be forced to do that shit despite they don't like it? Developers. I was watching this shit, I'm just like, I couldn't believe it. So, Unreal Engine is an gaming engine very famous by Epic Games. So, moving on, we have this one with the documentation for developers. So, Epic Games is a public company, and this engine is only available for Windows when you want to code, and it's an always online software. At least the I communicate the executable or honestly I'm not so much into Unreal Engine. I tried Godot and the only thing I need is a executable to just start coding there. I was trying getting into at least making something small. I know it's going to be small since I'm only one person, but still. And when I see this shit, is you need to install the fucking launcher. Now I remember, you install the launcher of Epic Games, and then you install the Unreal Engine, and that's how this shit is always available for you as a live service, not as an offline software aside. So in this documentation, you have, of course, class organization, how you are going to actually declare your variables, your functions, and your best practices for coding. So they are telling you, okay, this is the technical part. This is how you actually can do stuff here with our engine. And it all goes down to shithole the moment we are here. Inclusive word choice. When you work into Unreal Engine conveys we encourage you to strive to use respectful, inclusive, and professional language. So this translates into forcing you to comply. So they force you to use wokeness in your coding. So word choice applies when you name classes, functions, data structures, types, variables, files and folders, plugins. It applies when you write snippets of user-facing text for the UI, error messages, and notifications. It also applies when writing about code, such as in comments and change list descriptions. The following sections provides guidance and suggestions to help you choose words and names that are respectfully appropriate for all situations and audiences, and be more effective communicator. So this is one step. People are telling you that this is a nothing burger. This isn't. It's just fucking virtue signaling. Is not going to affect the engine. I think otherwise. This is going to affect the engine, but I don't care about this fucking company. What I care is that some indie developers that are just willing to give people what they want, they are not going to be able with Unreal Engine. And probably a lot of development has been used in Unreal Engine or has been coded there. And it's going to backfire so hard. I'm going, I'll get there in a moment. So you have this nonsense. Racial, ethnic, and religious inclusiveness. Do not use metaphors or small that reinforce stereotypes. Example includes contrast black and white or blacklist and whitelist. This one is what pisses me the fuck up so much because you have no idea. Um, I'm a web developer and the company I'm working they use some services from a Californian company. So this company use JavaScript, and this JavaScript is actually compiled in a framework called Node.js. You probably heard that before. And in the way of you are declaring your main variables for actually start coding. So you are setting your some data that is going to be actually useful for the kind of logic and data structure you are going to use. And one of them is like whitelist and blacklist because it's about API web services. So you have those two variables, blacklist and whitelist, to allow and what not allow in some cross-domain requests. So what happens when you out of your fucking ass for virtual signaling you ban these words? So they don't want people using it, so they enforce it. So if you had at least some type of coding using these variables, imagine your whole API just straight at crash, and you are wondering why the fuck, and it doesn't give you a fucking answer because that's how dogshit that company is. So you contact them only to know that it's because they are virtual signaling and you need to change this one. And people are going to tell you, just don't use it, motherfucker. It's always a standard to use these words when it comes to development. But since those fucking racist pieces of shit only see the black people from the US, all the N words that they are just, they must be protected because they are always the endless victims of society. Now you have to enforce that. Now, let's continue. Do not use words that refers to historical trauma or lived experience of discrimination. Examples include slave, master, and nuke. And this is another one. Fucking GitHub. They removed the master branch for your repositories. Now they change it to main. And imagine that, yeah, someone used to have master and you can't use it anymore because it's recess. Again, fucking up work, fucking up your work, your effort for making things functional because that's probably if you are a developer and you know you have to meet standards or meet ends when in your company. And imagine explaining to your boss, which this boss is having your foot on your ass, that the reason why all this fucking software failed and crashed is because you were using those words. You could probably get fired. I almost got one. Honestly, I was in this position. That's why this one pisses me the fuck up so much. So gender inclusive, so you use the pronoun nonsense, just refer to people as they, them. Refer to anything that is not person and it is and is. For example, model, plugin, function, client, server, or any of the server or hardware component. Honestly, this doesn't make any sense. This shit doesn't make any sense to me. Oh man, and just to end this video because it's taking so long, and probably you are just getting tired and bored of this. This is the thing. They are forcing behaviors, controlling the language. It's always the same fucking agenda that I've been ranting a lot about the tiny hats that they're pushing for all kinds of society. Because I know those two fuckers are the ones that actually endorsing it. They do it by proxy. In this case, the proxy is Epic Games with the Unreal Engine. And this is what pisses me off because probably a lot of indies they were doing some jiggle physics or fan service and not putting up with the nonsense. And you're probably saying, just don't use that variables. But what if they could review your game in the future? They're going to change that because at the end of the day, Epic Games is a public company, and they have to listen to investors. And there is some BlackRock investors enforcing behaviors just like their CEO spoke. So the one way I mentioned it, this engine is connected always online. You have to use the Epic Games launcher to use it most of the time. It's a live service. They can update this shit to force you to use the pronouns, to ban you for using actually just male female as a sex. They the way how even you are going to have your ideas, they can stray at saying no, you're not allowed to unless you comply. You are probably already at 90% of development. You are almost at the finish line, and they slide you with this one. And you're probably saying, "Oh, but this is our Unreal Engine 4. What I have Unreal Engine 5.0." They can update that shit because it's always online. They can force you into updates just like fucking Windows is doing nowadays, or always has been doing for the past fucking decades. So this is the reason why I perceive, yeah, one thing, Unreal Engine they can go broke for all I care. But second off, you think of all those developers that they are going to get fucked, the ones who don't want to comply with this bullshit. And if you see indies that they are still going to stick up on it, probably you are going to see just so that nonsense like Palworld. I think Palworld was made in Real Engine, and it used the pronoun bullshit. They are forcing you into this shit, and they can find their way. What pisses me off is one thing, and second, first. One thing is the developers that don't want to stick on this getting screwed up in the future. And second off, the fact that they are willing to put money on making this update. Well, I mentioned in the future probably they're going to enforce that, or eventually they will. They're planning to do that. They are going to force you to do that through an update, and they are just wasting so much fucking resources into ruining their own engine. They are going even the way of the fucking Unity. Ah, man, but well, that's pretty much everything I needed to say here. You can check that out. This is in the developers documentation. Look, even they are just saying you don't use that, turn it to worse. Then Niles, okay. You are just getting butthurt over one word. So you are just wasting everyone's time with this nonsense. That's it. Thanks for watching and I hope you have a pretty good day and take care.